All right, welcome. This is the day 3 of the Chinese Worlds Qualifier, and we are back with the Group A. We have Lovestorm leading the pack, starting to start the day. He's going to play only once today. Yan Ming at 1-1, looking quite solid, the former champion to qualify to the next stage. Proyun really struggling, very well known deck builder from China that will have to make it count today, trying to win at least one and hopefully two series to get himself back in the running for these top four places. And we are going to start with the match between the early runner-up, or the early runner Lovestorm versus the defending champion Yan Ming. And this series had quite a story that like tended to repeat itself throughout this tournament, with both the with both Rogue and Hunter or Warrior getting wins early on and Shaman struggling, and it all comes down to the game 5 Shaman Mirror. And already we can see that Lovestorm is on the play here with Elise, and Yan Ming also has Elise, but he's on the coin, so his Elise does come down later. And in these Shaman Mirrors, being on the play versus on the coin is very, very important. And we are going to see that in action here. Both players pretty much the same opener. Lovestorm does not have a turn 2, which is a little disappointing. But Yan Ming's turn 2 does not look much better either, with only being able to play the Murloc. Yan Ming does know that Lovestorm has a kept card here, and once these bellhops come down, thanks to the top deck of the 6 mana spell, activating them, Yan Ming does not have a great turn here. He needs to coin Elise basically to make things happen, but because his next turn is completely dead, he is going to take a 1 here, try to find a spell that maybe will put him back on the board, allowing him to spend mana for the most importantly. Lovestorm takes a 5 location, and he takes a copy, and I don't really remember what else was that. But this location, copy makes a lot of sense here. It does not look like this board is gonna die. Yan Ming, even if he took a 1, like even a Raptor is not going to do much to deal with this board. There were like 3 instances of 2 damage that you needed to do, which is exactly what this Lava Storm discovered of the location does. Quite an incredible pickup for Yan Ming. But unfortunately, that does overload him, so that means his next turn will be a pass unless he picks up a great play to find off the top. Now, it's a difficult moment for Lovestorm. We have this location that has copy and Death Rattle, so we can't really use it right now, which is not great. But I think you still have to play it so that you can use it next turn with Flight of the Firehawk plus Bellhop, which you're very likely to still draw. Yan Ming, unfortunately for him, does not pick up any play whatsoever and has to just toe them, in which leads to this situation where it's just going to be a struggle to get back. If the bellhops come down here and then the bellhop gets copied, that is so much board presence. Positions around Amelia very well because this is an open decklist tournament. He knows that the Amelia would be there. And Yan Ming can clear while leaving this Elise on board still, but he's basically clearing. Like he needs to clear Lovestorm's threats every turn, being in the position from playing from behind, and that's just not a great position to be in the Shaman Mirror. He does have the Shatter Block, which combined with the Murloc Growthins might get him ahead on the board finally. But for that to happen, Lovestorm needs to not have a powerful enough turn here in order to prevent the Shatter Block from coming down, because it is possible to put enough power on the board here in the Shaman Mirror to prevent that. That is not quite as much power as Lovestorm would like, but it is still 13 coming down at the Yanming. And if you're gonna play the Shatter Block here, which is probably something that you have to do, given that you need to actually get ahead on board finally for a turn, then you're still going to take a lot of damage. And Lovestorm picks up a Shatter Block of his own, which combined with the buffed Ziliax that was drawn of the 3-mana Flight of the Firehawk will basically mean that this Ziliax will be able to answer any board available from Yanming, including making 4 8/8s, since these Ziliaxes are 9/8s with Divine Shield and Rush. So they trade the 8/8s perfectly. And you are able to copy a minion right now as well, which makes it just so much harder for Yanming to push any damage and threaten Lovestorm in any way possible. So he plays a pop-up book, copies a taunt, basically meaning that he is going to be safe from any aggression. He even trades the Shatter Block just because he knows that if he gets to play the Ziliax down, like, he knows if he lives through this turn, he is very, very likely to win the game. Yanming does not really have any other options, and this is my grudge and a lot of players' grudge with this Shaman deck, where it's just sometimes your plays are very linear. Like, you do not have a better play than this in this spot, right? And this happens a lot with this Shaman deck, where you just have to make for 8/8s, which is great, but it's your only play. So if your opponent has set up to deal with this play like this, then there's really not much you can do. Yanming can play the Shatter Block and summon 4 8/8s, but only 3 of them will have Rush. Therefore, 9 plus 4, that's 13 damage, will connect to his face. And the Shaman has very easy ways to deal 6 damage, as well as this location actually deals 5. So Yanming, I think, is just dead on the board. Maybe you can make some bellhops if they're big enough. I don't know if they're any bigger than 5/5s, and maybe that keeps him alive, but nothing really keeps him in the game here. And this is how this series is going to be decided from here. He thinks about it for a little bit, tries to find a play that's not completely miserable, but there isn't any. So he loses the series and goes down to 1-2, which puts him already in a little bit of trouble going into... you can even see him taking the headphones off knowing that it's over, but not conceding, not exactly sure why. Probably just some habit of not conceding just in case opponent messes something up. Lovestorm, though, has been playing incredibly well throughout the tournament and is very well deserved of being 3-0 now, and he is going to end the day like this and play 2 more games in 2 days' time. And that basically, that 3-0 score also means that he's secured his qualification to the top 8 stage. For the next series, the 2 players that have not been talked about much, not very known in the Western scene, XUCI and IFG Trispear. They're both also competing for that top 8 spot. The winner of this one will be very close to it at the end of the day. Meanwhile, the loser will have to probably win 1 and maybe even 2 series to have a chance at getting himself a spot in the top 8 at all. And we have XUCI's Elise Discover Hunter versus Trispear's Cycle Rogue. And the Discover Hunter from XUCI has been struggling throughout this series. It's lost a game against a Warrior previously, and now needs to beat a Cycle Rogue, which this is a favorable matchup for a Discover Hunter, but it's not as strongly favored as one might think. The Hunter's hand is very good, though, with Exarch Nael and Sylvanas ready to go, ready to get whatever you need and clear the boards. But so is the Rogue's hand. There is early pressure with the Moonstone Mauler. There is a weapon, which allows the Rogue to possibly get Everything Must Go down on maybe even turn 4. And X2CI finds a Scout of the Hero Power after playing Nayel, sending up for a very strong turn of his own. If he is gonna be able to find tracking especially, then the Scout could come down with the Hero Power of the tracking, get multiple encounters down maybe, do some very, very strong things. Tri-Spear does not find much to uh, activate his Everything Must Goes. Actually, now he finds a preparation, but I believe he's drawn. Well, he's drawn 6 cards this turn, so he cannot really map for the preparation. Like he cannot really prep the map in order to find the EMG. Unless he also finds an asteroid with it, and then he can't play the EMG, so it's just like a little awkward. So he decides to hold for the next turn, try to go in to find that Everything Must Go next turn. He has not seen a sister being played, and there is no sister in these discovers for X2CI, which is a little bit of a struggle. He does find needy to go with the 1-mana alien encounters for the next turn. And he double clicks. I'm not exactly sure what that is for. Probably just to reduce an expensive minion in 2 turns time. Unfortunately, there might not be 2 turns time, since Tri-Spear already has 5 asteroids in the deck after drawing that one, since he played the Moonstone Mauler twice. There is the Everything Must Go. There's another Shadow Step for the Mauler, which is going to push lots of damage, just 3 asteroids off the top, making this Everything Must Go cost 0. He can find another one from the Cultist map, does not find it yet, but he does find even more asteroids, so the Hunter is already at 10 or even 8 life with Everything Must Go and with a Giant coming down on turn 5. It is an incredible draw for Tri-Spear, and I am not sure that Hunter is going to be able to do anything to contest this. Tries to find an AoE potion from Mixologist. I'm not sure about playing the Scout first. I guess we did find the Mixologist from the Hero Power. In case that was Glacial Shard, maybe we wanted multiple of it. He does find the AoE, and can also use Sylvanas to clean the rest of this board up and put taunts in the way. Which does mean that the Hunter has a chance to come back into this game still, after all. But there is another Giant. He will not be able to push the damage through, but there is also an Incendious, even getting value from his random 4-drop, which generates an elemental every time you play a fire spell, and discounts it by 3. Won't be able to push the damage through the taunts, but the board is still massive. There is no way to bounce the Sylvanas and play another sister at the same time. So it's going to be pretty hard to clear this, although just bounce for the Sylvanas would actually do it, or AoE from the Mixologist. But the big problem on going on for X2CI is this Incendious that is about to come down. With 10 life, which is exactly as much as the eruptions do with 1 buff, that is going to be a huge issue, and I'm not sure that Hunter has much ability to heal at all from here. It's just the Elise that would need to hit the 1-mana armor, but then there is also still a Giant. There might be other cards on the board. I think this just has to be a clear Incendious turn. I'm not exactly sure what Tri-Spear is looking for. There is some line where you play Incendious and you swing immediately. He knows there is something in the deck. I think he tried to prep an O Manager maybe, and he missed it, which would allow him to get the Phoenixes down this turn to also have early board pressure. Exercise does not have many choices left. He goes for the Scout and the Hero Power in order to find Grifta for healing instead of trying to find armor from Elise. He does find the Grifta, so he will have a 3-7 in for a chance at staying alive. I'm not exactly sure if this healing is actually going to keep him alive. He doesn't get it. So this will decide the series for Tri-Spear. Now, certainly, with the eruption draws. He couldn't even fill up Tri-Spear's hand with the Grifta because Tri-Spear cleverly left his hand at 8 cards in it, and the eruptions will get drawn and finish the game off with even some more damage available to Tri-Spear with the asteroids as well. And that means that Tri-Spear will be going up to 2-1. That means he is pretty likely to make it through to the top 8 and might be even competing for the top 2 spot, which both the top 2 spots have an advantage in the top 8 going into the next day. And for the final match of the day, we are going to have the world champion again, Yan Ming, going up against Proyun. Both of these players struggling a lot in this tournament. And we have a game 2 Warrior Mirror. These usually don't take very long. Usually one of the players has a lot better hand than the other, and one of them just dies. But this one was a little different. I'll just give you that. And from the start, we don't really see much going on. Yan Ming has ramp. I will try to speed through this as quickly as possible because this beginning is not as interesting. Yeah, Yan Ming found his ramp. Both players are playing cards. The hostile invader is just getting thrown on the board just because it does not usually get much value in this matchup. Ham gets played, hits the invader, not really meaningful. Proyun does find Elise. An early Elise is quite nice in this matchup for the 5, generates quite a bit of tempo. There is the unfortunate thing of this Ham just being on the board. You don't really want it to keep growing and keep hitting you in the face. But it's not like Proyun has much of an option here. It is in fact impossible to kill this minion. So he's just going to Elise 4 F5, try to generate that early tempo. Does not find the Raptors, which are usually really handy. But I think he does find 6 armor and discovering a spell. No, from now on, I think the Ham just actually gets traded into the Elise. Yeah, Yan Ming is not even interested in eating more minions. The Elise gets played. Not much going on from here. Yan Ming finds his own Elise, going for, and he is going to end up playing it and going for a 10, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and he finds, I think this is attack and armor. And he's going to play out a Bulwark just to not overdraw. And Proyun does a clever little thing here with bobbing the Elise, if I can remember correctly, so that he can have a second location as well. The one that would be a 10 help him maybe execute the combo with the time warp that comes out at the end of this matchup. Yeah, so we have a little bit of an Elise ping pong going on. This Proyun, the location does get played. Proyun is playing his fusion, and he's gonna end up playing his, try to find a card that's playable. Doesn't really find one. But he does end up taking the Latorovian armor, not really doing much, and these things are not really that important. From here, a 10 gets taken. This one is for armor and attack. Then another Elise gets bobbed, and Proyun overdraws for glory, which card draw is important in this matchup, but not as important as the new heights that Yan Ming burned. And if we skip a little bit forward, we arrive at this sort of situation where both players have their quests played, and both players are sitting with locations on the board with lots of armor. And here is the thing. When both players have this much armor, you are not OTKing anyone with Time Warp anymore. Like, you can't do 100 damage. That is a little too ambitious. So what I would be doing here if I was playing this Warrior Mirror is I'm just trying to find my Galvadon, uh, probably before I play this Carnasa at all. And I am just trying to send the Time Warp damage so that I can unlock a board space and then play the 5/5s. I don't like playing this Carnasa this early, just because we already have a little bit of free twos on the board. Like the free twos are not going to be that useful, and the free twos are generally not very useful until they become 5/5s in this matchup. It does generate a tiny bit of pressure, I suppose, but we could have just like played out maybe a Dracorex or something else, or maybe played out this Bulwark to even have hand space. We do play out the Dracorex to clear the board, which does happen to be kind of nice. And I also do wish that we've played out this 1 mana gain 10 spell while we had the opportunity to do it for free. Although we did, I guess, suppose we didn't know what else we were going to be doing with this turn, so it was fine here. There is going to be a later moment where playing this 1 mana draw free would be really nice too. Yanming does find the Time Warp. And I think this is the moment where, or not this turn, but in a turn in a little bit, after Yanming is going to play the Portal here, which is the only really playable card. Where you just want to send the Time Warp and get these locations off your board. He does actually end up playing the Carnasa to fight for board a little bit, remove this Dracorex. Not exactly sure how I feel about that. Just because we don't really want the Raptors until we find... Oh no, we do have a Crystal Core. We do want to find our Galvadon for the Time Warp a little bit. But I guess we don't really want to take the damage, so maybe that was okay. I mean, I'm not really thrilled about this entire turn. I think playing the Marin here was a little questionable. Maybe I would have preferred to play the Ziliax or something. The Ham eats a Golden Cobalt. Not very meaningful at all. And I think here is already the moment where I would be interested in just sending this Time Warp. Like, I don't care. Like, just push the damage with the locations while you can and get your board space back so that you can make 5/5s. He plays Amara instead. Amara I actually find to be quite a useful tool in case your opponent sends the Time Warp damage and puts you down low on health, or maybe even later when this matchup enters a grindy stage. Your health might dip below 30 and then you can heal with using the Amara. So I'm not really a fan of playing it here. Perion does identify that there is not going to be any OTKing going on. I think this turn was like a little questionable. I think we could have done it a little better in order to push some damage. Doesn't really matter though. It does matter, but it's not going to be a turning point in this matchup. And again, like when I am in this position of Yanming is, I really just want to push the Time Orb damage. Like waiting with these locations on the board and taking damage from all of these minions, it just does not sound very good to me. It's a great hit from the Sulfuras, by the way, but it really doesn't matter. And it's like, and here again, like if I'm in Proyon's position, I just want to play this Galvadon and play the Time Warp and just push the AD or whatever damage you're gonna push. Because it like you're never gonna get more, and I want to get value of this portal. Like I just want the free 5/5 so that I don't have to keep playing as many. There is a Sulfuras to be drawn, which is important. Here, yeah, I just like he wastes a Mega Fin. He actually high rolls here by getting this Amalgam, which generally the Murlocs, if they're all 5/5s, they're surprisingly good actually. If you've played this matchup a little bit, you will learn that the Murlocs are really good. And Yanming is just like constantly behind because first of all he doesn't have 5/5s, and second of all he has these locations on the board that are just limiting him in what he can do. He's also a little behind on the mana spending. Was never able to get the Zero down, which I think that also really needs to get played, just so that we can get to our Galvadon faster. Since we're like really waiting on this Galvadon to be able to fire the time warp. But I mean, I think if like I personally would fire the time warp immediately, and I think the reason why either of the players that will lose this game is because they're keeping the locations on the board instead of firing the time warp and just being able to fight for board back uh, with the 5/5s. Proyun does do a really cool thing where he uses his removal as damage essentially, right? We've seen him already do this either the previous turn, like 2 turns back, where he's like used his brawl to remove the enemy board and then push damage with his own board. Here he's not going to do this, I believe, because they're the minions just trade on board so well. There doesn't feel like there is a need. Uh, I think this would be, again, a great opportunity to just play the Time Warp. Play the Galvadon, play Time Warp. Mm. Instead chooses to play Amara, which I find not great. But yeah, Yanming just does not have removal in this situation too, so like he needs to get these locations off the board to have more minions, so that when the opponent tries to convert this removal into damage, so that if the opponent chooses to not use removal, he can actually trade back. He rolls the Gromash here too, which is great for him. But just it's the problem where he only can have 4 minions at the time. It's just not good enough, right? Like Proyun is going to be able to, and that, again, make a board into this, and just not worry about it, right? Especially if especially with this Sulfuras pickup, which actually limits Yanming to only 3 minions that can trade, right? Like in this situation, Proyun again, he's just ahead on board because he doesn't have to worry about the minions that Yanming has. Also, it helps that he rolled a Marin here. But this is what's happening turn after turn, and in a grindy matchup like this, where the game tends to go very, very long in terms of turns, like you just need to be able to do things. And Yanming isn't able to do anything. Like he literally hero power passed this last turn because he has 2 locations on the board. And like playing these little beasts that draw a card, like it doesn't accomplish anything. Because the minions are on the board, right? Like because the minions would already be on the board anyway. So it's just like you're just cycling these free twos into free twos and basically wasting them if you play them. Meanwhile, Proyun just able to trade down, shoot the Sulfuras in the face, have more minions because he has more board spots, and this just continues like this for quite a long time. Now Proyun finally starts using his removal for damage, where he just like he has 3 minions, he decides to go face with them, use the brawl as like plus 15 damage. Thank you very much. And just finds the crown into another Marin, which certainly helps. It would have been really nicer if he just had the free twos though. Like these Marins, as nice as they seem, they essentially function like the free twos that he's like wasted multiple times by or not letting the portal summon them instead, trying to cycle through his cards. And here Yanming, like again, he just needs to fire this time warp. Just because he needs to get rid of these locations. And I think he's just gonna end up dying here from 78 actually, due to the time warp combo, which it wasn't gonna kill anyone. I mean, they didn't really kill Yanming here. It's just, yeah, Yanming just refused to get rid of these locations, and Therefore, he was just taking damage gradually, right? Like if we go back a couple of turns, like now he was at the start of this turn he was at like what 80 life. Yeah. Mm. At the start of this turn he left 20 damage on board, but I guess he was at 98, and he just died, just because the opponent was able to ceaseless clear, right? And like a couple of turns ago, like his opponent like actually gained life throughout these turns, right? His opponent is lower life here, and it's like lower life throughout the game. Generally, like this, he's been higher life on this turn. He's been on 108 here than he was on like the final turn, right? Because he's been constantly taking the chip damage because he didn't have the board space. Anyways, that is how the Warrior Mirror ends. Yanming would also lose the last game of this series, going down 1-3, and Proyun winning this series keeps his chances at advancing to the top 8. The final day of the group is going to be very exciting. I can't wait you guys to see it. Come check out Mag Banterface for the live footage. That is going to be at 8 a.m. European time, 3 p.m. Beijing time, 10 p.m. West Coast time, converted to whatever time zone you're in. And the final standings are as follows. Loftstorm will play for securing the first spot. Trispear and Tianming will try to contest him. We didn't see any Tianming today. I promise that I'll show him off a little bit tomorrow or next time. And Yanming in Proyun are really fighting for their life with their one game left in the tournament, trying to desperately make the top 8. Tomorrow is Group B. Ju Yu and this guy have to fight back from the 0-2 deficit. Meanwhile, Sif and Zhao Ti are playing from the position of strength, both up 2-0, and playing each other at the end of that day definitely will bring that, will show off that series to you. And hopefully a couple of others. We'll see who gets in position to win the group there, especially between Zhao Ti and Sif. Will judge Ju Yu and the other Chinese guy fall down, or will they redeem themselves and try to get the spot in the top 8? Well, come check it out tomorrow, and I'll catch you in the next recap also tomorrow. Bye!